Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our second to last presentation in this 13-part series. Today we're going to talk about some specific ways to regulate the response in the body when experiencing anxiety, trauma, or stress. We need to target the mind, but we also have to target the body because trauma and anxiety, stress symptoms, they all live in both. The mind and the body are connected, so they're both important. So the first thing we want to look at is the autonomic nervous system. So in a simple version of this, you have a spectrum that goes from the parasympathetic nervous system, which is over here, or to the sympathetic nervous system, which is over here. The way that you can remember these is parasympathetic is the longer word, and it represents calm or cold, which is a longer word than hot, which is the sympathetic. So sympathetic is the hot system, parasympathetic is the cold or calm system. Now what happens is when you're triggered by external stressors, things that you see, hear, touch, taste, smell, think, feel, and you have a reaction to those, your nervous system responds. And if it shifts over because it believes there's a threat, it'll gradually move further and further over towards the sympathetic nervous system side of the autonomic nervous system. So you can see you begin to become unhappy and then you become overwhelmed. This is what results in a lot of those physical symptoms like the shallow breathing, adrenaline gets released so you get shaky, the different chemicals like cortisol to protect you from pain and do other jobs in the body for the fight or flight experience, sweating because your core temperature rises, dry mouth, inability to calm, and then you can also have issues with stomach, with sexual performance, and many other things because the autonomic nervous system, when it shifts, it tells the body to do many different things. Now, when you do certain things to the body to regulate the nervous system and shift it back towards the parasympathetic nervous system side, then you feel much better. What happens here is you start to slow down your breathing, you start to slow down your heart rate, you start to bring your logic back online so you're not reacting emotionally and you're responding rationally. And you're able to digest food again, relax, sleep, rest, etc. So the mind and the body are connected. The mind follows the body follows the mind. It's a circle, it's a loop. They both need to be addressed. When there are significant symptoms in your body, it's because the mind has basically perceived that there is some kind of threat to your life. So there doesn't have to be a threat to your life. There has to be the perception of a threat to your life. So your car doesn't start and you're going to be late for work. Your brain might trigger the fight or flight response, which isn't going to serve you any purpose because it makes it harder to think and problem solve. You can't fight or run from the problem of being late. You need to problem solve. CBT can help to identify the changes in how we think and the cognition, which can help impact our emotions and ultimately change our behaviors. But in the mind and body approach, the mind influences the body and the body influences the mind. So you really need to target both for a holistic approach. You can't just rely on CBT to change thinking for trauma because the trauma symptoms in the body need to be addressed as well. So CBT, specifically trauma-informed CBT, is a great tool, but there needs to be incorporated some kind of somatic body-based interventions. CBT is a top-down. We also need bottom-up, right? So body up, top-down is mind. Here are some specific body regulation techniques. If you do these, they instruct your body to shift towards the parasympathetic nervous system side, which is the calm side of your system, or they trigger the vagus nerve, which we've discussed previously, to activate, to turn back on digestion, slow down your heart rate, help you relax, etc. First is 4x4 breathing. So this can be altered in many different ways. There's box breathing, there's 4x6, there's all kinds of things. I just put 4x4 because it's just easy to remember. Adjust to your comfort level. But basically it's 4 breaths in as you count. You take a total of 4 breaths, count 4 seconds as you breathe in, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 seconds. Repeat 4 times, 4x4. Real simple to remember. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Then maybe take a normal breath and repeat. This is going to slow your breathing down and trigger your nervous system to give it signals that, hey, I'm okay, I'm actually calm, I don't need to be in fight or flight mode. Those signals will then continue up the brainstem to the brain, specifically to the reptilian brain, which can be activating the instinctual survival response. So Dr. Eric Gentry has this thing he calls wet noodle, and which is a funny term. And so I usually just say noodle because it's already goofy enough. But the idea is that your body ultimately is going to end up being just completely limp and loose like a cooked spaghetti noodle. So what you do is you tense your entire body, like you pull everything in. Your hands are tight, your pelvis, anywhere that you can apply pressure in your body, you do, and you pull yourself into a tight little ball. And then as you take in a deep breath, you do this as you're taking in a big deep breath, and then hold your breath and hold that tension for 4 or 5 seconds, and then force that breath out, and at the same time, let your body collapse. So you should be in a chair or in a bed for this, obviously. You're telling every muscle in your body to relax at the same moment. And when you do this, that triggers the nervous system to shift, specifically the pelvic area. When you relax the pelvic area, that's a big sign to your nervous system that you're relaxed, that you're calm, that you're safe. Noticing your peripherals is just a very simple thing to do. But when you're in fight or flight mode, if you look at the picture of the animal here on the left, they're staring straight ahead. When you're in fight or flight mode, you tend to not notice things in your side view because your target is right on that line in front of you. And that's the most important thing. So when you start to open up and notice things in your peripherals, it starts to tell your brain and your body that you are not focusing on an immediate danger. Diaphragmatic breathing. This just means using the diaphragm to breathe. The diaphragm is a muscle that is supposed to be used to breathe, but what happens is we tend to breathe in our chest. If you want to find out how bad you are at this, which I'm terrible at it, put a hand on your chest, put a hand on your stomach, take in a nice big deep breath, and just notice how much did your hand on your chest move and how much did the one on your stomach move. If you were breathing with your diaphragm completely correct, your chest should essentially not move. The air should just pass through all the way down to the deep bottom lungs towards the diaphragm. That's getting in a big deep breath and getting in oxygen. So if you want to do this, which it helps trigger your nervous system to shift over again to the calm side, the easiest way to make yourself do it, interlace your fingers together, put your hands behind your head, elbows back like you're trying to spread your wings, and then breathe in as deep as you can that way. It opens up your top lungs so that the oxygen flows down deeper towards the diaphragm. Progressive muscle relaxation is a great one because it's just a simple script, it's systematic. You do it one time and you know how to do it forever. It's very simple. It systematically tenses and relaxes every muscle in your body. It incorporates tension and release techniques, which help you improve mind-body awareness as well. It incorporates mindful breathing, which is going to help you with the diaphragmatic breathing, mindfulness, and the relaxation, activation of the nervous system. It strengthens the mind-body connection, as I mentioned before. And you can do it in 5 minutes or 20 minutes. You could actually just do a 2-minute one if you really wanted to. So all this is basically it'll tell you, sit down, get comfortable in a chair. Now, start with your right hand. Notice your right hand. Close your right hand into a fist as tight as you can and pay attention to that tension as you count to 5 in your head. Then after 5 seconds, keep your attention on that hand. Release the tension and pay attention to how it feels for the tension to leave that hand. Take in a nice big deep breath. Let it out. Let's do that again. And you do the same thing. Then you go to the other hand. Then you go to the biceps. Then you go to the shoulders, the face, the neck, the legs, the feet. You go from head to toe and then from toe to head or until you fall asleep or feel calm. You can just search progressive muscle relaxation technique on YouTube and there's a great video. It's 15 minutes long. You don't got to watch the whole thing, but it's a really good video that walks you through the PMR, progressive muscle relaxation technique. Grounding is a great one for when you're stuck in racing thoughts and you can't get out of the anxious thoughts. Anxiety is something that originates in the mind typically. And it can happen even if you're totally safe because you just have to perceive that there's a threat. So when you have trauma, that can happen easily. So your awareness is always somewhere. You're always having your attention somewhere. So if it's not on something outside in the present moment, then your awareness automatically defaults, goes back into your mind. And the only thing in your mind is future, which is a lot of unknown anxieties, or past, which could be a lot of regrets and depression or trauma. The present moment, though, is safe. So if you can ground yourself in the present moment and get out of your head, you can essentially combat that anxiety, that perceived threat that your brain is identifying. Grounding pulls the individual into the present where there is no danger. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique is the most simple. You notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. You can switch those around in whatever order you want. You don't have to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You could just do a couple things until you feel better. But an example would be, okay, I'm in my head, I can't stop. Okay, I'm gonna grab this pen. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna feel. All right, this pen. Okay, there's the point. That's the top. That's probably where the ink is. Probably getting ink on my finger. And if I feel here, there's a ridge. That's probably where like the tip, that little plastic tip that has the ink cartridge on it, slips into the casing of the pen. And then I slide down and it's smooth. And then it's smooth. Oh, on one side, there's some lettering there. It's embossed, like engraved into the pin. And then, oh, the pin cap's on the back. So the pin cap has a long stem. So the point is, that seems really mundane, but when I'm doing that, my attention is too busy being focused on my senses in the present. I can't be in my head on that anxious thought or that traumatic thought. So it pulls you back into the present, okay? A grounding box is a great tool to have around the house. This is something that you can create the box. It can be actually a cool little project for you or you and someone else or you and your kids. It's great to make with kids. And you have something in the box that engages each of your senses in a calming manner. So for example, for smell, you might have a lavender candle or a bottle of lavender oil or some sage in there. For taste, maybe you love Skittles, you have a little pack of Skittles in there, a couple pieces of chocolate. You need to replace those after a while because it's going to get gross. But for sight, it could be a movie that you love to watch. It could be pictures of your kids or loved ones, pictures of a place that you loved visiting, pictures of a place you want to visit, pictures of the beach, anything that you can use your eyes to see that helps you. Touch could be a piece of sandpaper, a soft piece of cloth. It could be a fidget spinner that you like to roll around in your hand, whatever you want. So you find something for each one of your senses, you keep it in that box, and you only pull that grounding box out when you're trying to calm and relax. So even going to the box becomes an association of relaxation. Just like when you get in the car, you automatically put your seatbelt on, hopefully. When you go to get this box, it can activate calmness just because you know what it's about to do. It becomes an automatic behavior. Into the earth body scan, that just means starting at your head and going all the way down to your toes. And as you slide down, just relax. So start at your forehead and relax your forehead. Slide down to your nose. Notice the tip of your nose. Then slide down to your cheeks. Notice your right cheek. See if you can feel your left cheek. Then relax your cheeks, your jaw, your tongue. Let it drop from the roof of your mouth. Drop your shoulders. And you just go all the way down your body. And any tension you have is just being pushed down through your body. And when you get to the end, it goes all the way down into your feet, and you just lift your feet off the ground, and all of that tension is released into the earth. You can also take a cold shower. This is something that stimulates the vagus nerve, and it also pulls you into the present because it can be a little bit shocking. It doesn't have to be freezing cold, but you can take a cold shower. Like if you're in the shower, just switch to cold for a few seconds. Or get a bowl of water and fill it with cold water and ice and just dip your face in it. That's a great way too. So some other methods. EFT, emotional freedom, tapping. This is a technique where you tap a series of specific points on the body that are associated with acupressure, energy, meridian points, etc. And you also utilize affirmations. And so you're making kind of some psychological challenges at the same time that you're doing some physical tapping, which pulls you into the present with the sensation and has some acupressure energy balancing benefits as well. Tai Chi is a really good way to do a very calming exercise, and it also focuses on balancing the energy in the body. Regular exercise is a great way because it gets rid of excess energy as well as helps your body to run efficiently. Diaphragmatic breathing, we talked about that, breathing with your diaphragm, doing deep breaths. Breath of fire, you can look that up. It's a technique of breathing. Um, I think it was something that Wim Hof did. It might not have been, I might be mistaken, but just look up breath of fire and you'll see what it is. It's a very simple technique. Singing and dancing activates the vagus nerve. Somatic experiencing techniques, so doing things that engage your body, the felt sense. That's why these activities you see the pictures of are great, because you're connecting your body with the earth, and you can also connect with your mind because you can get your mind involved in what you're doing. So sports, boxing, MMA. Vibroacoustic therapy, we talked about this in an earlier one. So this is using low frequencies to stimulate, influence the frequencies of the body. The body runs at different frequencies, organs, everything in the world runs at a frequency. That's what determines mass and stuff. And so when you use vibroacoustic therapy, it's been shown to help because it kind of penetrates through your entire body, because the frequency goes through your organs, your skin, and your body is made of mostly water, vastly mostly water. And so water is a great conductor of that frequency, and so it spreads it throughout your entire body, and basically you harmonize the frequency of your body. Here's a couple of references that go over the main stuff. There's obviously more references. If you want them, please just reach out to me and I'll give them to you. I just added a couple of the more important ones I wanted you to know about. There's one more lecture. It's just going to be a wrap up, so it'll be simple. It'll recommend some books, maybe. It'll recommend some trainings and things like that, and some more information for me. It'll be very short, very quick. It's just going to be kind of a wrap up. So if you don't make it to that one, I really appreciate you watching this series. Please provide any feedback, be good or bad. It's okay if it's critical. I put a lot of time into this, and so it's important for me to get critical feedback so that I can continue to improve these free resources for you guys. Thank you.